Hello and welcome to another episode of Keep It Moving Podcast. I am your host, Novelty, and joining me today is the impatient Mike B.
What'd it do?
Is
Impatient?
that better? Yes, impatient. Had a few little things going on over here.
So you didn't want to start the show? Is that what you're saying?
No, I just had a few little things going on. I was trying to take care of them.
It sounds like when you say I have a little bit of things to take care of without providing context, the first thing people think of is personal issues like bathroom. You had to go in pee-pee or boo-boo.
Well, now you know that ain't the case. I was sitting right here.
They don't know. They ain't seeing you. And you know what? I turned my back, so I'm not quite sure.
Well, I would not share that information with you anyway. That's not ladylike.
Anyway, what's going on?
Not much. What's going on with you?
Same old.
We've been gone for a long time.
A long time. First it was
y'all miss us?
The holiday. They don't miss us. They don't miss us. They don't love us like that. What was the holiday? Memorial Day? Did you do anything for Memorial Day? Did you guys get together?
No.
You and your family?
No. For Memorial Day, I shut the doors. I kept the window shut. Me and my dog sat in the house for 3 days with nothing. Just us and the TV.
Did you have food? This sounds depressing. Like you were trying to going through. You could have called me.
I needed a break.
I would have sent somebody.
I'm just so tired from ripping and running from this to that. My aunt is out of town. My mom is just way over on the other side of town, and she had my little sister to keep her company. I turned off my phones, and I just hid for 3 days. I needed a break.
Nothing wrong with that. Just kind of unplug. Now, did you remove yourself from social media? Like just put your phones away, put your computer away?
My computer is never put away. That's just not going to happen ever in life.
That's so sad.
Well, I'm always on my computer because I'm always working on something. That's
still so sad. Just pray that there will come a time where you could just bag away and work will still get done.
Well, one day when I'm rich and can employ a staff to do that. Because, I still had to work. Like, I gave my dog a bath, which that's a job in itself.
And it wouldn't have happened on that weekend.
Yeah, but so I had to do that. My graduation was the following weekend, so I had to do my hair. I still
you
did
make it
stuff.
Sound like it took a week to do your hair.
No, when I say I finished homework early. To make sure it was done and out of the way. And then Saturday, Sunday, Monday, I didn't go outside. The only time I opened the door was to let the dog out. And I just sat in my house in peace and quiet. That doesn't happen often for me. So
did you at least clean yourself? This sounds depressing.
It wasn't depressing. It was very nice.
Oh.
It was... To unplug, I was almost completely unplugged.
I was about to say to unplug, but I got my computer because work still needs to be done. They ain't really unplugged.
I was almost unplugged.
Right on. And when did you have your run-in with the Jehovah Witnesses coming to your door? Was that
that weekend?
The same weekend.
That's why I never went back outside. Saturday morning, the Jehovah's Witnesses come down my street, and I was back in the house.
They ran you off. They ran you in your own home.
I'm so mad.
I still didn't understand.
They came down like 4 or 5 cars deep, and I'm like, really?
Hey, they got a message to get out. Have you heard?
And I don't think that. Wait a minute. And I don't even think there was the Jehovah Witnesses now. I think because the literature they left at my door was something about, do I know the Bible and come join us?
So it could have been just missionaries.
Yeah, it could have been. I don't know what they was. They was at my daggone door.
And you're running from Jesus. Lord have mercy.
Hey, he know where I am. He know where I am. He know how to get me. If he want to get to me, he know he can just take over my TV. He got all the power in the world.
But when you say he know how to get me, that's like he gonna snatch you up.
Hey, he know how to get to me. Them people out there don't need to get to me. I just don't understand that.
Hey, there are some people out there that don't know the good news, and so why not go out and just take a moment and share it with them? That's what we're supposed to be doing.
Stand out on the street corner and share.
Share what?
The good news as people drive by. But don't come to my house when I'm having my personal private time on a Saturday morning. I might be asleep.
You probably would. And see, you wouldn't be able to get the good news unless they woke you up. They need to wake you up every night. Sometimes Jesus got to wake you up.
The Lord wakes me up every day. If it were not for the Lord, I would not be woke right now.
You have sleep, so I got questions.
I don't need them people knocking at my door to spend no messages to me.
Right on. Just let them do their job. Just all you had to do is say, no, thank you. I know the man. I'm good.
That's what the sign on my door say.
Well, you don't know if all witnesses can read.
If they can't read, but they bring in literature for me to read, it's a problem.
But they know the words because they've been taught.
Anyway, anything else happened with your weekend?
No.
Or your weekends?
Well, usually I don't do anything. I don't even think I got out the house that particular weekend.
You don't get out the house either.
I didn't say I unplugged because I was plugged in to video games. Had a couple of videos to do that week, so it was a busy week for me. And it didn't even really feel like a 3-day weekend. That's what I don't like about it. When you have so much to do and it's still, you just feel overwhelmed. And sometimes it happens. When you were
felt like a 3-day weekend, but it doesn't matter if it's 3 days or 90 days. When Monday come, it's just, it's always the same. So it felt like a 3-day weekend. The next week definitely felt like a 4-day week.
Right on.
So, but and then graduation. That's it. That was it for me.
Speaking of your graduation, I know you're excited to be done. Well, you're still finishing. You got one more class. But you were my nominee for Black Achievements in Excellence for this week. And I actually made last week when I got home from the graduation, I made a special video for you. But I didn't like what I said. Okay. And so it never surfaced. And it was going to be like the only video on the channel for a long time that's actually video and not just a picture. And I'm like, people ain't going to say. People aren't going to know how to act. But I was just saying on the video how much, even though I give you shit, me and JT give you shit
all the time.
You do, come through. You provide and you attribute to the show. You handle your business. You graduated. It was good being there and seeing it happen, even though you didn't want to participate in the festivities. No. I'm glad I was there. Did you see the lady? When they were announcing the names, me and JT talked about this on our show, but when they were announcing the names, sometimes it was the guy announcing and then the woman, how the woman kept stopping every time people would cheer.
I think they were making her stop up. I swear I thought people were cheering like that on purpose to make her stop after a while.
Yeah, after a while because she kept stopping. They like, well, we're going to play with it. And so she kept.
What point she...
I said, this is crazy.
It was interesting.
But it was really good seeing you walk across the stage because you have your own business. You still went to school, having to deal with discrimination and all the stuff that goes along with being a minority student in today's society with everything being so divisive. I was actually proud of you. Not to say that you don't do anything else to make me proud, but I was literally proud of you. So you get this week's Black Achievements in Excellence.
I'm really gonna cry.
You should. That's what I'm here for.
To make me cry. Wow.
Is this the nicest thing I've said to you before?
Yeah, probably.
Don't do me like that. And then also to see you hand over your stole, is that what they call it? Mm-hmm. Your stole over to your mom and let her know that was why you I guess went through with it.
When I read it, I was like, oh, I'm gonna keep this and I'm gonna frame it. And then they sent the legend of the stole. They sent it with the stole. And so I got to reading and I was like, oh, well, I'm not supposed to keep it. And I kind of thought about it for a little while. I was like, I kind of want to keep my stole. I paid for it. I worked hard for it.
Right.
But the more I thought about it, if it wasn't for my mom, I would have never done it. I would have never done it just simply because this was her dream. So I figured, you know what? I'll give it to her.
Right. And then she also was in the background helping you, and pushing you.
Yeah, because
and encouraging you. Right.
I wouldn't have done it, wouldn't have done that math class. I wouldn't have done none of it.
Right on.
But so I gave it to her. And yes, I said happy birthday, happy Mother's Day, happy Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
That's it for a minute.
Hopefully you still give her other gifts.
That's a $60,000 present.
Say, here you go. That's it.
And it took me 4 years to do it.
Right on. But you did it.
Yes.
And that's commendable.
Well, I have to clap for myself. Woohoo!
There you go.
I'm supposed to woohoo for myself.
Yeah, you can woohoo for yourself.
Okay, so moving on to what we've missed in the last 3 weeks. It's so much, but just a few things. The world went ballistic when Kathy Griffin posted an image of her holding Donald Trump's severed head. Agent Orange pulls out of the Paris Climate Accord. LeBron James' home got vandalized with racial slurs. And Comey testified and Donald Trump felt vindicated.
Which is weird because...
Very weird.
Yeah. From the parts of the testimony I heard, Trump, I mean, he's trying to obstruct justice. And you felt vindicated? Like, how was that in your favor? And then to also turn around and say Comey's lying. If he's lying, then how is he... What?
I think after a while, and the more I got to hearing him say it, I think his vindication was all he wanted the people to hear was that he was not under investigation. Oh. Well, that was back then, number one. And number two, nobody ever said he was under investigation. It was always his campaign.
And he wanted to make it, wanted Comey to make it public,
that he
and make an announcement that Trump, like, why is that so important?
And why would you say, okay, Trump is not under investigation? And then what happens when you are under investigation, just because you're not under investigation at this moment?
Right.
Okay, and actually what he's done and what he has been doing over the past few weeks, I believe he's about to be under investigation.
He needs to be under investigation. But you know what? It may be one of those situations, I believe, most of the citizens of the United States believe that Russia has something to do with interfering in the election.
Well, and Comey is 100% positive about that. There's no doubt about that.
But there's a possibility that Trump is so stupid that they kept it away from him.
You know, the more I thought about it, the more I think maybe he was just a pawn.
He still is a pawn, but he don't see it.
But here's the thing: they thought they would get him in office and he would just do what they said do. The thing is, nobody thought about his character.
Yeah.
And what he's going to do. Yeah, I can try to put you in a position to do what I want you to do, but you're still going to have your own reaction.
Right.
So I know if I want something done, I can't. If I want something cooked, I can't put Mike in that position because it ain't gonna happen.
Unless you want some cereal, I got you. I got you.
So because I know that, I wouldn't put you in that position. And it's like whoever made that decision didn't think, okay, we putting Donald Trump in this position. He's a wild card. You don't know what he's going to do.
Right.
Ever.
What he's going to do, what he's going to say.
I don't necessarily think he was involved in it. I think he was just a pawn.
And it's to me,
I think Russia and everybody else thought he was stupid enough to fall for it.
Because he is stupid
and he's falling for it. And he is stupid. But it's just they didn't think about this fool gonna be up tweeting at night.
Right.
This fool gonna make a big obstruction of justice charge.
Yeah, they didn't think about his character.
Right.
They thought he would be able to be manipulated, but he still has a mind of his own, and that mind is stupid.
Right. So I don't know. I mean, and that's just my best guess. I don't know if he really had anything to do with it or not. I just know that all of this going on, just because in order to prove to the world that you're not under investigation, you cannot impede an investigation that's going on. And the one question Comey was asked that I loved, and I don't know what senator did it, but they said throughout all of this and everything that was going on, you letting Trump know that Russia was 100% behind it, no shadow of a doubt, did he show any concern about this, any concern about what was going on? And James Comey said no. That was the one thing that's the most important thing in my mind, because regardless of whether or not he was involved, regardless of whether or not he thinks he's being set up, no matter what, if this were these are the facts that you are being presented, at least show some concern.
Right.
If you really are an American and for America, and you don't want Russia in America business,
and so
then
that makes
there should at least be some concern about that, and there's none.
Well, I mean, but who's surprised? I mean, everybody around you is being picked off with having Russian, contact with Russia, but you, and then you try to stop the Michael Flynn investigation because, I mean, he's involved. So anyway,
but also while all this craziness has been going on, the Department of Veteran Affairs Accountability and Whistleblower Protection Act of 2017 was passed. Social Security.
Wait a minute. The Whistleblower Protection Act?
Yes.
Oh, you should. I don't think you mentioned that to me. Pre-show.
I didn't.
Because that reminded me of the girl who leaked the NSA document.
Yeah, I forgot about her in my list.
Leaked the NSA document.
Reality Winter.
That's her name?
That's
or
her
is that
name.
her stage name?
No, or maybe her name is Winter Reality. It's reality something, and that's her name. Yeah, they cannot talk about black names.
That's a government name.
That's her government name. They cannot talk about black people anymore.
That's interesting. And the document, from what I understood that she leaked, kind of showed how Russia had interfered or hacked into some of the voting machines. I don't know if they changed any votes, but go ahead.
They have no. So far, that's the one thing all of the government agencies are saying: no votes were changed. But they were trying to hack into. Russia was trying to hack into the voting machines, and her name is Reality Winner. That's her name. Reality Winner.
I'll let you have it. But that made me think. Okay, she leaked these documents. Would that make her a whistleblower, or would that make her like something else? Is she going to jail like
she going to jail?
Chelsea Manning.
But and here's the other thing, she's a pretty blonde.
So there may be a couple guys out there to protect her and maybe get her off. I think that a lot of Americans would be like, you know what, thank you, because this is information that the NSA had and did nothing with it, even though I think they're saying that no votes were changed in order to restore our faith in
keep our faith in the.
Because I don't trust it.
But I don't think any votes were changed. I really don't. And this is why. Because when you look statistically at the numbers of people that voted, the vote looks right. Hillary Clinton did win the popular.
Yeah.
The electoral.
That doesn't mean the votes weren't changed in the states that were crucial to the electoral votes.
But even the electoral votes, they get cast as well. I don't necessarily think it was changed simply because so many Americans did not vote. As so many Americans did not vote, as well as a fire was sparked under a lot of racist Americans that pushed them to vote that may have not voted in the past. So with the vote the way it was, I don't think the votes were. I personally don't think they were.
And I just say I do, because that makes things make more sense to me that we got these many idiots that would actually vote for this asshole. But moving on.
It is what it is. But anyway, so the Department of Veteran Affairs Accountability and Whistleblower Protection Act of 2017 passed. Social Security Number Fraud Protection Act of 2017 is passed. A resolution designating the week of June the 5th through June the 11th as Hemp History Week. Now, to me, that just sounds like, hey, that's the week of the year that everybody can get high.
And I'm sure there are a lot of people that will hear that and think that.
So I wonder, was Congress high when they signed that?
Well, you looked up hemp.
Hemp is, of course, weed, but it's also a fabric. But why are we
what's
dedicating
the point?
A week to fabric?
Maybe it's so that people can see the different uses of hemp versus weed. Yeah.
Whatever. And the biggest thing that was passed was DoddFrank was repealed. Now, for those of you who don't know what DoddFrank is, DoddFrank was signed into law after the housing crisis. It is the housing crisis, to be really brief with this, the housing crisis started because of an act back in 1973 that was passed by Congress to help low-income families get housing. Throughout the years, over the years, they've slowly removed regulation until there was literally no regulation there. And so housing market could do what they wanted to do. And they did what they wanted to do, and everybody lost their homes. Yeah. So President Obama put regulation back in place to control all of that. And I think part of it had to do with the bailout, but all of that was getting everything back in place to revitalize the economy and put those regulations in place that should have been in place
to protect consumers
and homeowners. And now the government has just repealed it. So that's something you really want to take a look at.
Is it over? Or I know it went through the House.
The House has done their repeal.
Does it have to go through the Senate? Are they going to have a hearing on it? Or are they going to talk about it?
Technically, I don't think the Senate even has to vote on it. Once the House repeals something, all the Senate has to do is make it effective.
Well, I'm wondering if there will be any holdup.
I doubt it. If that happened undercover, I mean, all this other stuff was going on, and they quietly repealed DoddFrank. So
it came out after that Comey testimony, because that's when they did it, while everybody's focusing on Comey. But that very next day, that's all I was seeing in the headlines. So they were making it known that while we were watching this is what Congress was doing, and that's what they were trying to sneak some shit by us. But people are watching.
So and that's good.
They're not realizing that we can do more than one thing.
Keep watching.
And I don't know if you have any more political things, but one thing I wanted to mention is, have you seen your senator Claire? Ain't Claire McCaskill your senator?
Yes, she is.
When she was talking to Congress or the committee that's supposed to be coming up with this healthcare Trump care, whatever the hell it's supposed to be, and how they're not even wanting to have a hearing on it. And just listening to her basically say, hey, I want to be a part. Like, we let you guys, even though Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act ended up being a partisan deal, it wasn't bipartisan. You guys had an opportunity to amend or make your amendments. And we had hearings and we heard you. Like, at least give us that luxury to have the conversation. You guys saying that you want us to reach across the aisle and work with you guys, but you're not even having a hearing. You're not telling us what the hell you're doing. It seems like some sneaky, shady shit. And this is not how things are supposed to be. And you guys are acting like it's the status quo now.
I love my senator.
And I was proud of her. And
I love my senator. Claire McCaskill, she gets in there and she seemed
passionate. And now she's a part of the Intel committee. So right on.
I love my senator.
I just wanted to point out a good, a good senator, I guess, because we don't get too many of them.
Yeah, no, we got Blunt too, and I sure don't like his dumb butt.
Oh, I forgot about Brownback. His old trickle down tax bullshit got repealed.
That means y'all taxes gonna go up. Just so y'all know, in Kansas, your taxes is going up. It's a good thing.
Yeah, I don't mind.
It's a good thing. It's not necessarily a bad thing. But anyway, 2 cops. Well, actually, one's a cop, one's a husband, and they choke out at Denny's.
Oh, yeah. Deputy Shawanna, she's white, but that name I never really heard of her.
Somewhere.
It says, I think this is how you pronounce it, Shawanna Thompson and her husband, Terry Thompson. Now, the story that I'm hearing, the guy what was the victim's name? 24-year-old John Hernandez was in Denny's. And I guess he had to use the bathroom. Maybe there was a line, but he went out by his car and, was urinating by his car. I guess, what's her name again?
Shawanna.
Shawanna and her, I think it was the husband and the kids. They were walking up. He saw him. And then they got into this altercation or whatever. I guess he was I can understand being frustrated that this guy is peeing and your kids can see, like, having some questions, like, what are you doing? This is the public. You're not supposed to be doing that. But the fact that the conversation turned into an argument that ended up with him basically, I don't know how they got on the ground, but they were wrestling, and he's on this guy's back, and he's holding him, trying to restrain the 24-year-old. And people are watching. I'm glad somebody recorded, because we were watching this tape, and he's just holding and like squeezing on this guy, I guess trying to prevent him from getting up. And then eventually his wife, who's the deputy, sheriff's deputy or whatever, she shows up trying to get the people to stop recording. I think she called the police, but I don't understand why she didn't stop her husband from choking
this guy.
Yes, that's what didn't make any sense. I read an article that the employees from Denny's, they were also trying to get him to let him go because he's turning purple. Like this is not right. But they took the law into their own hands. And he felt, since his wife was a sheriff's deputy, the law is on his side. He can do whatever he wants to.
Because the guy peed?
Yes. Well, he peed, and then they got into an argument. So then it became pride and ego after that. And then with my wife being a sheriff's deputy, then I can do whatever the hell exactly. Plus,
I'm white.
Yes. Privilege. And the young man ended up dying. I don't know if it was the same day or a couple of days later in the hospital.
You died because you go pee.
Yeah, it made absolutely no sense. And then talk about taking justice into your own hands. If anything, he could have called the police himself. I think he called his wife instead of calling the police, or somebody called his wife. Maybe she was just meeting him there, for dinner with the kids. Nothing about it was right, though. And she should have, being a sheriff deputy, if she had like handcuffs, maybe she could have. Why are they arresting him? Period.
Well, I know in the state of Missouri,
she didn't witness it.
Well, that's true. But that's true. But in the state of Missouri, peeing outside is a sex crime.
Well,
it is.
I guess maybe peeing is probably a crime. if it's kids around, I can see the sex.
No.
Sex
It
part.
falls under the jurisdiction of sex. It's
So
not a sex crime.
Okay.
Sex crime. It just falls under that jurisdiction. It's like nudity, public nudity. I think that's what it's considered.
Indecent exposure or something like that.
So, I mean, I can understand it being a crime, but if she didn't witness it, and by the time she got there, they were on the ground, I can understand even then why she would handcuff them, but I would handcuff both of them.
Well, her husband, in her mind, was probably doing the right thing. You know, holding a criminal. Citizens arrest up in this piece.
Well, and that's why I simply I would handcuff both of them or hold and separate both of them. And that's when you call for somebody else.
Right.
Because you now have a conflict of interest. You can't do that.
And thankfully, both the sheriff's deputy and her husband have been indicted on murder charges. Now, we know that doesn't mean anything because we know with Jeff Sessions in the house.
And it ain't meant nothing for how many months now? How many years?
Well, speaking of Jeff Sessions, before we move on to Jeff Sessions, they've been indicted for murder. So hopefully something comes of this. This family gets justice because it was not their place to choke this man out. It reminds me of the whole Eric Garner situation.
Murder. It's murder. It's simple,
plain and simple.
It's murder.
And I'm hoping
nobody should be murdered because they go outside to pee.
Right. If anything, a citation. And he wasn't the one to be able to do it. It's not it. You know what? Moving on to Jeff Sessions real quick.
Okay.
He's going to be testifying on Tuesday, which I thought was interesting because he was supposed to be talking about something else.
He gonna lie about every question and then accidentally answer the truth to the wrong question.
You think so?
No, actually, he's gonna lie about every question and then accidentally answer the wrong questions, just like he did last time.
His Senate hearing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't trust nothing that come out of his mouth. I'm sorry. He just reminds me of you watch them old movies. And I guess they not that old, but they back in the Jim Crow era where the sheriff, he come out and he always sounding all, got this major Southern brawl and he talking about them niggers. And he just reminds me of that character in the movie. Every single time I see him, that's what I think about. It's nothing about him that makes me feel comfortable at all.
Understandable.
Moving on. Bill Maher had a slip of the tongue.
Can you call it that?
Okay, you call it what you want to call it.
It's a little controversy.
a little faux pas. He called himself a house nigga. Personally, when I first heard it, I thought, well, if that was a black man, I think I would have just laughed. And then I thought about it. I said, so, okay, how am I taking this? Well, he wasn't talking about me. He was literally talking about himself. He wasn't talking about another black person. He wasn't even talking about another person. So I thought, well, makes it a little better.
Then it boils down to him saying the N-word.
Right. So for me, it was comedy, okay, but should he really be saying it? And for me, that comment didn't really bother me, but I'm not referred to one that often. Maybe once in my life, maybe. I don't come from an era where I constantly hear white people saying that word to devalue black people. I hear it now and then, and it's usually through Facebook or something like that. But to actually be one-on-one with it, I've never experienced that. So that anger doesn't rise up in me the same way as it does my mother, who lived through it. Mm-hmm. My aunt, who lived through it, can't stand it. The word doesn't want to ever hear it come out of anybody's mouth. That anger's not there in me, so it didn't bother me as much.
Now, go ahead. I'll let you finish.
So I honestly, for me, I can say it didn't bother me that much. Move on. It's really not important. But the more I started hearing other people talk about it, the more I started saying, well, you know what? They got a point. You got a point. Okay. And the reality is we're not at that place. We are. White people, stop saying the word, period. Just don't ask why you can't say it. It's real plain and simple. It was used to oppress a race of people, an entire race of people. It was used to keep us in oppression. Do not use it. We have not been out of slavery that long enough for you to use it. And not even slavery, forget slavery, because that may have been where it started. But Jim Crow wasn't but 60, 70 years ago. It's still people alive that lived that through all of that. So stop. You need to get until my generation is dead, at least, before you can even think about saying the word, because it brings too much, it conjures up too much pain for too many people. It might not do it for everybody.
Right.
Because like I said, for me, it didn't bother me as much because it was the context in which he said it. So it didn't bother me as much. But again, I have not experienced those things. So for me, it's not going to conjure up that pain. But for somebody who has been treated that way, they're going to feel a whole different way about it. So just stop sitting up trying to say, well, why ain't it cool for me to say it? Just don't say it.
Yeah, I agree with that last portion. But to me personally, I don't need to have went through being oppressed by the word or somebody talking or calling me that to have it sting, because I notice it. Like when black people say it, it's like I don't even pay attention to it, but I notice it each and every time a white person says it, and I don't know why that is, but to me, I'm not cool with it.
See, and I notice it when they say it, but I always think, was that malicious or not?
I don't even think
if
that.
I question whether or not it was malicious, it's not appropriate. But if I see it as funny, I hear it and I'm like, okay, you probably shouldn't have said that, but okay, maybe that was a little funny.
And I think he should have expected the backlash.
Oh yeah,
because it's still not a word
definitely.
that black people are cool with white people saying, no matter who they are, no matter how cool he is with black people. And like, I like Bill Maher. You know, I respect what he does, but I feel like he should have maybe tried a different joke. A different joke.
That joke
he just went
funny.
with the joke.
And I mean, it's kind of like Kathy Griffin's joke. In no way was that funny. It wasn't her joke. Her joke wasn't funny.
I think they tried to play it off because she's a comedian. They tried to spin it as a joke. I don't think it was a joke. I think she was trying to make a statement, and it backfired.
I think she was making a political statement,
right?
And I think her statement was very real in a political way. Right. I don't think it was a death threat, but I do think she was making a very valid statement. However, the way she made that statement was inappropriate. But so was the way everybody made those statements when they had Obama hanging by a noose.
Right.
So, and as far as I'm concerned, if what Kathy Griffin did garners Secret Service getting in her ass, then every white person that hung Obama by a noose garnered that Secret Service getting in
I guarantee you that didn't happen.
And it didn't happen. You know why? Because Obama knew that's silly. That's ignorant. We don't have time for that. We need to focus on the real. But Trump administration, the Secret Service is pissed because they got to question her, because the Secret Service even knows that this was her attempt at a joke. There's no real threat here. This is a waste of our time. So, I mean,
and it was another way for him to rile up his base.
Right.
And
he
get
riles
them
up
pissed
his
off.
base. And he talks about how my son was so hurt.
Bullshit.
My 11-year-old
I don't
son.
give a
What
I don't
about
care.
Obama's 11-year-old daughter?
He didn't give a shit.
You didn't care about her. So
I don't give a shit about what you're talking about.
You know, I get the jokes, and I get comedians are supposed to make jokes, and I get comedians get to push that line.
They push the line
They
a lot.
get to push that line, and they're supposed to push that line. But her joke wasn't funny, and Bill Maher's, it wasn't. I mean, when I heard it, I didn't laugh. The first thing I thought was, now if a black man would have said that, you know, Chris Rock would have said that, I might have laughed. But coming from him, it wasn't funny. Now that I can honestly say, it just wasn't funny to me. Mm-hmm. So get rid of we tiptoe around how we talk about gay people, but we don't want to tiptoe around how we talk about black people.
But I feel like even with that comparison, not everybody tiptoes around it, because some people just don't care. Especially now when you have the leader of the free world, who is the most divisive person that I know, who is fueling all of this hatred, out here in these streets, and people feel like they can talk to you any kind of way and say whatever they want to and expect no repercussion. We've seen video after video of these white people going on racist, tirades against other people,
and nothing happens.
That's what's surprising to me, that they ain't got their ass handed to them. That's surprising. And it's not always them going after black people. They can be going after, anybody that's not white. And people just record and allow it to happen. I'm like, why aren't the people that are watching this, getting on their asses? I just don't understand where we are in today's society to where we would sit back and allow other people to be disrespected, other people to be, harmed or hit or pushed. It doesn't make sense to me, but this is where we are. And they feel protected. They're emboldened. And I just can't wait for people to start fighting back against this.
I wouldn't mind seeing some of that myself. So now we're on talking about celebrities. Mary J. Blige. She got to pay some money.
Yes.
Monthly.
She just, it came out, I believe it was yesterday or the day before. Her husband, they're going through this divorce. And for some reason, I thought they were going through the divorce because he, infidelity. That's what I was thinking. Maybe not. Because I can't imagine if you cheated on me, I have to pay you because we're divorcing. Hell to the no. I feel like, there should be a clause.
Marriage without a prenup.
There should be a clause. Even if it's without a prenup, I feel like that's a reason to get divorced. And you were the cause. So now I'm paying you for doing what you want to do? No, that come on now. That's how, you know what? That's how people get hurt. That's all I'm going to say. But, it came out a couple months ago that he wanted like almost $129,000, $130,000 a month for his lifestyle. Now, he wasn't just her husband. He was also her manager. So maybe that was part of the reason he was wanting so much money and to, continue his lifestyle. But more recently, a judge ordered a temporary payment of $30,000 a month from Mary J. to her soon-to-be ex-husband.
I don't make $30,000 a month.
And how would you feel if you were ordered to pay your husband? Like that just seems weird to me.
It's weird because it's the norm is the other way around. But I mean, I think about it, and even now I think about it. Okay, if I was to get married, would I be upset if somebody asked for a prenup? I would say let's sit down and talk because I'm liable to be the one to ask for the prenup, and this is why. I got a business.
Right.
If we divorce, I don't want you taking my business. I worked hard for that business. I'm the one running that business. You would have probably very little to do with that business unless you were a part of that business. And then you still getting paid a salary anyway. So unless we 50-50 in that business, I don't want you taking my business.
Right.
So I would probably have a prenup.
Right.
The other reason is forget my business. I'm getting ready to buy a house. And as I get this house, I'm going to get the house. It might be just have the skeleton of what I want it to be. But over time, I'm going to build the house of my dreams. You don't get to take that away because we get divorced. So I'm like, yeah, I would have a prenup because I don't want to get a divorce. And now I got to move out my house and even if, say, we got married right now, we just moved into a house together. What if I don't want to move? What if I like that house?
Well, you got to move.
No,
it's the husband is the one who dictates where the house.
See, my point right there.
Just kidding.
But I mean, I think that's for anybody. And I think as poor people, middle class people, rich people do it because they don't want to give away millions, but they got millions to give away. And if I got 2 million and got to give you 1, I still got $1 million left. I can make more, especially.
But you still have to remember you're giving up $1 million.
I understand that, and I get that, and I think that's what we all see the big number that we're giving up. But if I got 30,000 and I got to give you 15, I might not be able to eat.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? They got $1 million. They can eat and they can make that money make more.
If 30,000 in a month, then that's you might be able to eat
30,000 in a month. But I'm talking about a year's time.
Okay.
If that's what I'm making and I got to give you half, I can't eat.
You got to apply for government assistance.
So maybe prenups are a good idea for everybody. So I don't think I would be personally offended. I mean, the woman in me might be like, "What?"
Now, do we know that they didn't have a prenup, or I don't know.
Okay. I have no clue. Okay. I assume that
it sounds like that. This.
Well, no, I assume that this wasn't covered in the prenup. So, because if it was covered in the prenup, then automatically,
what's the discussion?
There would be no judge. It's already ruled. The judge would simply say, "This is what you agreed to." So, but I mean, I wouldn't want to pay no man $30,000 a month. Heck no.
Well, I feel like you would have to have it in order for the judge to make that judgment. Because he's the man.
And see, here's the other thing. What if they got kids? And then she got custody of the kids. Or even he got custody of the kids. So now she got to pay alimony, child support. No.
You wouldn't want to do it. I don't think anybody wanted. Even if I had to pay my ex-wife, $30,000, she, you know what? She getting the Applebee's gift certificate, and we go on our separate ways.
I think because people get into relationships and go into marriage thinking, oh, it's gonna last forever, but they never really sit down and say, okay, we have to work at it. I remember one interview, she said something like, I came in one day and I just realized that we weren't close anymore. He wasn't in this with me anymore. He started blaming me for this. He started blaming me for that. And like she said, he was asking why I don't cook. She's like, I've never cooked. So she's going through all of these things. She's like, and that's when I realized he wasn't in this anymore. So I knew then it was time to get out. And I mean, no disrespect to her. I don't know what's going on in her marriage. It may have been a whole lot more than that. Mm-hmm. But with just that little bit, you see somebody's not in it. You're supposed to work at it. You're supposed to work it out. You're supposed to talk. Now, I can see if he's not willing to work it out. I can see if he's not willing to talk, willing to come back to the table. But you're supposed to try to figure it out. Marriage is work. It is hard. It is not easy. And everybody goes into it thinking, oh, I'm going to get married and he's going to take care of me, or vice versa. I'm going to get married and she's going to take care of me. She's going to clean the house or he's going to pay the bills and da-da-da-da-da. And it's just going to be this perfect, lovely life. And then they actually realize, okay, this guy leaves the tap off the toothpaste,
or the cabinet doors open.
Right, won't shut the dang cabinet doors. Doesn't clean anything. Leaves his clothes all over. I had a good friend who would come in and drop his stuff in a chair and walk away and expected his wife to clean it up. She got tired of it one day, left the stuff in the chair, piled up. After 2 weeks, he's screaming, what is all this stuff in this chair? And she said, it's all yours. This is where you put all your stuff. And that finally got him to start putting it up. But I mean, you live with somebody and you really get to know somebody. It's when the makeup comes off and when the funky feet come out that you really find out what marriage is really like. And that's where you're supposed to start to work. And instead people get lazy and they just say, I don't want to do it anymore.
What do you do? And I was actually having this conversation earlier with a friend. What do you do if you recognize that the relationship isn't what it's supposed to be, or you guys, it's a fresh marriage and things have dwindled or died off. The magic is gone already and you recognize it. And so you approach, the person that you're married to, and you're like, hey, maybe we should do some counseling. And they say they don't believe that it's a problem. But deep down that you're not happy and you want things to change.
Have to tell them
and
that.
They say they don't think you need counseling. You're willing to work at it. But they're not.
But they're not. That's the thing. Marriage takes both parties. One person cannot do it alone. So if that's where I said I could see if maybe maybe she tried to work it out and he just wasn't willing, then at some point you do have to walk away. I'm not saying stay forever. I do believe in marriage. I do believe marriage is forever. If I ever do it, my goal is forever. My plan is forever. But I do also realize that I cannot do it alone. And I'm not getting ready to sit here and allow somebody to cheat on me, to walk all over me, to
use and abuse
me, and just take it because I'm married. I won't do that no matter what.
I don't think anybody
should. But I also don't think that because you come in and we have an argument, we say we're growing apart, and I realize it. I don't think I just walk away. I think that's where you sit down, you have that conversation. Right. You don't want to go to counseling. Do you see we have a problem? I'm telling you, me and you, we have a problem.
Yeah, we're growing further and further apart. How do we rectify
this? But you bring it to the table. If that person won't come to the table with you, it's nothing. You cannot change what somebody else wants to do. Believe me, I've tried. You can't.
Why did that seem like a personal dig at me?
It wasn't a dig at you. It was my little brother. Okay. Try to get him to clean his room. He won't do it. And I get in trouble for it. So, you can't force somebody to do something they don't want to do.
I agree. And you shouldn't have to.
No, you shouldn't. But I mean, you do need to sit down and work it out. And you just stop. If you're not willing to do that, if you're not willing to put your all into it, then don't get married.
Right. You shouldn't have been in the situation or relationship in the first place.
Don't get married. Stop connecting with women or men whose ultimate goal is to get married. I think one of the faux pas is, women talk about marriage on the first date. I think that's a good thing, because she's telling you where she wants to go. If that road is not in your forethought, not in your future, something you know you don't want to do, that's a woman you don't need to be messing with.
Well, but to bring it up on the first date, and I feel like this is a conversation for a different episode, but to bring it up on the first date sends like a red flag, because we don't know each other. We're getting to know each other. Now, if I ask, like, are you into marriage? Are you into kids? Like questions like that, then I can understand. But to bring it up and we're just all the lady asked was, "Do you guys want something to drink?" And
that's different.
I would like some marriage juice, please. No,
that's different. That would be a red flag. But I mean, my point is, have the conversations early. That way, you're not wasting her time. She's not wasting yours.
Okay, I can.
I mean,
definitely
if
agree
all
with
you
that.
want is a sexual relationship, just be honest.
Let
about
it be known. And women, sometimes when men say that, believe them. Because 90% of the time you won't change them.
Right. You're not going to change their mind. So, and that's the other thing. And you have to take what they say for law.
Yeah.
And then not only that, pay attention to the way they act.
Because
I think actions speak louder than words.
Yeah,
we're
good at feeding the story.
Yeah, y'all good at getting distant when y'all don't want to do something.
Let me get ghost.
I don't want to do it. But so it's just, I don't know. Marriage is hard work. Stop getting into it at the drop of a dime. And celebrities do it. To me, celebrities should wait maybe 7 years is 1 year in a celebrity's life, because they never home. So,
and it's hard. For some reason, I've never really taken a celebrity relationship seriously, and I think it's much harder. I can believe
it's much hard. I think it's much harder. They don't have the time to put into a relationship. Like if I see my man daily, I talk to him on the phone daily. They might go a month without seeing theirs because one's on one side of the world, one's on the other. So anyway, I was watching the news the other day and I shared this on Facebook because it was the funniest thing I had ever seen in my life. So they say you're not supposed to drink and drive. You're not supposed to text and drive. Even when you're in the grocery store and you get to the ends of the aisle, you probably need to slowly go out into the aisle because you're liable to run over somebody, right?
Right.
So now, people have been saying you shouldn't text and walk for a while, but they just proved it. This woman was texting on her phone. And it's some kind of metal doors where they had utility workers. What this city has, instead of having a hole where you lift off the plate,
like a manhole cover.
Right. They have like two doors that pop open, and they don't lay flat on the ground. They stand up in the air.
It's almost like what do you call those?
Trap doors?
No, on the side of houses. Back in the day, like storm shelters or something like that.
I got one of those.
That's what it reminded me of.
Okay, and that's pretty much what they are. But the doors, even on those, the doors flap all the way open. These doors were standing up straight in the air, and they had to be 2-3 feet tall. Mm-hmm. Anybody who can see would have seen these doors,
right?
Had they not been doing whatever they was doing on their phone.
Distracted, and that's what she was.
And she was doing something, and she just walking help!
Fell right down.
She fell like 20 feet down. It just so happened to be utility workers down there.
Yeah.
And they had to call 911. They had on the stretcher when they pulled her out of there. They had to take her to the hospital.
And it's
funny,
now,
but it's not funny.
I've stumbled, walking and texting. I've almost fallen a couple times, texting. I'll miss a step because I'm not paying attention. But in that situation, I'm thinking about it, because those doors were so high, and that's not really normal. You would have seen it had you been paying attention. But I felt like they maybe should have had some cones around it, because she would have ran into some orange cones, because that's not normal. Maybe it's normal there for you to just walk and see this hole open. I would have felt some type of way. I think even though she was wrong because she should have been paying attention, I got a feeling that she might still get something out of this. And we've seen it time, like people in the mall. We've seen them not paying attention. They fall into the pool at the mall.
This is the
texting and
I
walking.
Hope she doesn't get anything for it.
She doesn't need to get anything because she needs to learn the lesson to pay a damn attention.
Right. I hope she's grown. She's a 60-something-year-old woman. She grown. I hope she doesn't, because it wasn't like, I could see if it was, a little piece of wire, you couldn't see it. I could see if it could have been harmful to most people, or I could see if.
But you said 60-something. She probably broke her life falling.
Hey, she should have been paying attention.
She should have. What is she doing with a cell phone?
I don't like seeing like the bottle of bleach. They have to say harmful if swallowed on it. Are you kidding me?
Well, you need to know. You need to know that it's going to be.
You should know, or like the fan.
But it's not always for adults.
The big industrial
you should keep
fan.
it out of reach of children.
Okay, but you're right. But the big industrial fan at the mall that says "Do not stick your finger in it." Duh. I think sometimes we've gotten to the point where we want to sue immediately for everything, even though it's our fault.
Right.
And in that situation, that's on her. She should have been paying attention, and she wasn't. And I think she should have just.
But you have to remember, we live in a society where a robber can break in your house, get hurt,
right?
and
that's
sue
my
you.
point. We live in such a litigious society that we gotta stop. We have to stop. There has to be a line where they say, okay, you robber, you broke in his house. If you fell and tripped and broke a bone in his house, you wasn't supposed to be there. So no, you have no lawsuit. And you're going to jail.
You could get a hustle by just breaking in people's houses and falling down the stairs.
And then suing them. Right. No.
And then so it becomes the benefit of the homeowner to just shoot your ass.
Right.
Because
you can't
stand your ground.
If you walking and you texting and this big old manhole with the standing in front of you and you fall over it and fall into the hole, no. So no cones, no nothing. That's her responsibility.
It is.
But had it been just like a hole like we have, where it's literally a hole, they lift the plate off and I'm walking and I might not see it and I fall into a hole, then you might have a case.
Yeah.
But now, with what she did, no case. I think not. So anyway, we gonna end this show, wrap it up. I'm gonna wrap it up with this question. Would
this
you
our
be
poll
okay?
question?
Yes, this is the poll question. Would you be okay having a prenup? Would you be okay having one and signing one or coming up with one? However you want to answer it. I just want to know your views and thoughts on a prenup.
Yeah, because some people will be offended if they're asked to sign a prenup.
I mean, don't get me wrong, because I would look at you crazy at first. I already know I would, because that's just reaction.
Until we got down to the nitty gritty.
No, it's reaction. My first reaction would probably be, what? Prenup? What's wrong with you? What you think you would? This ain't gonna work.
You think I
my
want your
head
money?
Gonna start rolling and
I know.
everything, and then it'll hit me. It'll calm me down. I'll calm down. It's like
because you got shit to lose too.
Right. That's it right there. I got shit to lose too.
But when you ain't got nothing to lose, you ain't signing shit.
But you do have something to lose.
What?
You got $15,000 a year.
How?
You got a job?
No. When I get married, I'm stopping working, and my wife is gonna take care of me, so I can be accustomed to this lifestyle. So
I hope you marry Halle Berry. On that note, good night, everybody. Have a good one.
Peace.